Today, there's no word on whether President Biden plans to take advantage of that. He hosts the Prime Minister of Ireland. ABC's Karen Travers has a preview from the White House.
The president, who loves to share his pride in his Irish heritage, will sit down with Leo Varadkar in the Oval Office for a one-on-one meeting before the two leaders head to Capitol Hill for the annual Friends of Ireland luncheon. In the afternoon, the president and Prime Minister, or Taoiseach as it's called in Ireland, will hold the annual Shamrock presentation ceremony at the White House.
Large banks said Thursday they'll deposit $30 billion in First Republic as a show of confidence in that bank, which has seen its shares plummet. Chinese President Xi Jinping will visit Russia next week for the first time since the war in Ukraine began. Meeting with Vladimir Putin's leading to concerns that China is going to supply Russia with weapons for the war. China's Foreign Minister Wang Wenbin said through a translator the visit is about peace.
What we call for boils down to supporting talks for peace. We always believe that political dialogue is the only way to resolve conflicts and disputes.
More strong storms and powerful winds possible in the southeast today. They swept through Texas on Thursday.
At around the time the hail was coming down and winds were clocked at 60 miles per hour at DFW Airport, the facade and part of the roof came off a nearby car dealership, smashing an SUV that someone had just purchased. No injuries were reported from the fast-moving severe weather, which has now moved east through Louisiana and into the Florida Panhandle, leaving about 30,000 power outages here in Texas. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Big upsets, notably from Princeton and Furman, caused chaos on the first day of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. That tournament continues this afternoon. You're listening to ABC News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
With the release of ChatGPT-4, the latest version of the artificial intelligence chatbot from OpenAI, that company's CEO Sam Altman tells ABC News in an exclusive interview.
People should be happy that we're a little bit scared of this.
Admitting that even the creators aren't quite sure about the power of what they've created. ABC Chief Business and Technology Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis says this is already being used by people to do things like write emails and computer code.
It can also help with taking in vast amounts of information and distilling it down to bullet points. And I've seen it now being used in hospitals, for example, who are trying to take in huge amounts of information and studies and research and asking the machine, okay, what are the key points? It's a way to keep up in real time with the amount of information that is coming at you.
2 Russian pilots have been awarded medals after their mid-air incident that sent an American drone into the Black Sea. Onboard video shows Russian fighter jets dumping fuel on that drone on Tuesday. Another drug maker now says it's going to cut the cost of insulin. Sanofi joining 2 other companies in capping prices at $35 a month. In most cases, nearly an 80% cut. An Oklahoma woman's recovering after being attacked by a neighbor's pet monkey. It jumped on her head. She needed nearly 200 stitches. This is ABC News.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Brian Clark, ABC News.
Does that old tractor or lawnmower have more electrical tape or duct tape holding it together than you want to admit? Well, maybe it's time to see Phil Sheehan and his staff at NC Tractor for a new Massey Ferguson tractor or mower. Massey Ferguson is a company that's been around for over 175 years. That says a lot about a company. And paired with Phil Sheehan, who's been in business for over 25 years, that says a lot about Phil and his staff. Knowledgeable about their product, and they stand behind every sale. Massey Ferguson is the last tractor you'll ever need. NC Tractor, a dependable and reliable company that'll be there after the sale. NC Tractor on Railroad Avenue in Rutherford.
We're expecting scattered showers for us today, not widespread coverage, but just enough where I'd keep the umbrella handy. We'll see temperatures in the mid to upper 60s, and it'll be a little bit breezy as a cold front passes through heading into today and through tonight. Showers pick up in intensity overnight tonight with temperatures in the low 40s. Then tomorrow we could see a few showers during the morning. Most of our Saturday, though, will be dry with highs cooler in the 50s. I'm meteorologist Anthony Baglione in the Weather Center.
Stand close to that umbrella. You may need it through this afternoon and tonight. Some rain showers are expected to come. Right now, we're experiencing 52 degrees on our thermometer and getting up to near 60 for a daytime high with wind gusts about as high as 27 miles per hour today and about an 80% chance of those showers coming later today. And again tonight, mostly cloudy with showers with lows around 39. We're above the freezer locker. That's a good thing. And then on Saturday, partly cloudy with highs near 56 with wind gusts as high as 24 miles per hour. Sunday looks good for us. Mostly sunny with highs near 51. No rain in that forecast for Sunday at all. Wind will be a little bit breezy, but not as bad as usual. So it's not going to be a bad weekend after all. We can just enjoy all we can. 6 minutes after 7 o'clock, we have some news items to share with you. Community things are happening this weekend. We'll have the death announcements following Bill O'Reilly morning update this morning. But this story will interest some of you who have teenagers getting ready to learn to drive and get their permit. More young people, North Carolina drivers, wouldn't have to hold a learner's permit as long as before advancing to unsupervised driving in legislation approved by the state Senate today. Yesterday, the bill in excess extends and modifies state law approved during the COVID-19 pandemic that shortened from 12 months to 6 the time that a teenager had to hold the permit before getting what's called a limited provisional license. That law, which was designed to help children with delayed driver's education classes, expired January the 1st. The measure, which passed 38-5 and now heads to the House, would reinstate the 6 months minimum for the rest of 2023 before setting permanently at 9 months. The measure would not eliminate other requirements to obtain the limited provisional license, such as being at least 16 years old, logging 60 hours behind the wheel with the supervising driver, usually a parent, and a passing road test, but it will shorten the time that a driver that holds a license, learner's permit, advancing without supervision by an adult. Meanwhile, on the local level, just as a reminder, it's the White House Community Center continuing with their Boston Butt Sale, and you can be a part of that. You'll call 755-4319 to reserve yours. The pickup is April the 7th between 4 and 6. You get a Boston butt, a pint of slaw, red or white, a pint of sauce. All of that's $45, and that'll take you a little while on that meal. You can have several meals out of that one. And an extra pint of slaw for $3. So call today, 755-4319 for White House Community Center Boston Butt Sale. Meanwhile, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, Wilson Baptist Church having a poor man's supper on Whiteside Road. That's 3617 Whiteside Road. And takeouts will be available for that one. The town of Spindale is happy to announce the sale of Centennial T-shirts at the town hall and at the Spindale Library. T-shirts are $15 with an additional $2 for XXL plus sizes. The town is also giving away Centennial vinyl clings at the town hall and at the Spindale Library. These clings are completely removable and are attached to windows in cars without the use of an adhesive. Other Centennial events can be found on the web page, town's website at spindalenc.net. And free rock painting at Spindale Library until March 31st. You have a few days left to do that. If you need more information, you can call 828-286-3879. That's some of the items locally. And the Remnant Revival starts March 26th through 29th at Crestview Baptist Church. Now here is Bill O'Reilly Morning Update.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater filling in for Bill O'Reilly. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, a word.
No question, there is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits and all kinds of great content. Please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater filling in for Bill O'Reilly. On this Friday morning, I am thinking about John O'Hara. Have you seen the video of the Stanford law students heckling the Fifth Circuit court judge who came to speak? The very short of it, a conservative judge went to speak to the students at Stanford Law School, and the students hate him because in a case he refused to refer to a man by his preferred pronouns of she, her. So he's a terrible bigot. Now, it turns out that the criminal in question was arrested for the second time for receiving child pornography. But those activists don't care. The judge is the bad guy. So he went to speak and they heckled him and the whole thing. And I thought of John O'Hara. He was a famous writer in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. He wrote a letter to his 14-year-old daughter on her first day away at a prep school. He wrote, "You are entering into a new phase of your life. Beginning with the day you read this, you cease to be a child." She was 14. The adults at Stanford Law School need to hear that they are no longer children. But as long as the school keeps treating them as children, they will never grow up. And the worst part is, it's bad enough for them. They'll always be pathetic. But they will force you to act in ways that make them feel good. You will be forced to cater to them. As John Cleese said, if you can't control your emotions, then you are forced to control other people's behavior. These law students are going to want to graduate and then control your life. Don't let them. Back after this.
If you are a timeshare owner, you're probably upset that your yearly dues continue to increase. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and done in a specific time frame. They're the only company you can trust, having helped more than 18,000 owners legally and permanently get out. So please call Lone Star Transfer 855-551-7066 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com.
I'm Mike Slater, host of the podcast Politics by Faith. This has been the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition.
13 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Friday morning, the 17th day of March, I have these death announcements this morning. Joan King passed away yesterday, and the arrangements are incomplete at this time and will be posted by McMahon's Funeral Home and Cremation Services by tomorrow. Again, that's Joan King, passed away yesterday. Charles Martin, age 70, of Rutherfordton, died Wednesday, March 15th at Hospice House of the Carolina Foothills. The family will receive friends at McMahon's Funeral Home at 4:30 to 7:30, Tuesday, March 21st. The funeral service will be at Pleasant Grove Baptist Church in Rutherfordton at 2 o'clock, Wednesday, March 22nd. Charles will lie in state 30 minutes prior to the service at the church. Burial will be private. McMahon's Funeral Home and Cremation Service is in charge of the arrangements for Charles Martin. Gary Douglas Wood, age 36, of Bostic, died Sunday, March 12th. Those arrangements are still pending and will be announced by the Paget and King Mortuary and Crematory. For Gary Douglas Wood. Arthur Robert King, age 83, of Rutherfordton, died Wednesday, March 15th. Those arrangements are incomplete and will be announced by the Paget and King Mortuary. For Robert King, Arthur Robert King. Laura Jeannie Gibson Owens, age 56, of Henrietta, died Monday, March 13th at her home. A memorial service will be held at 3 o'clock today in the Paget and King Chapel. The family will receive friends following the service in the chapel. The Paget and King Mortuary and Crematory is in charge of those arrangements. For Laura Jeannie Gibson Owens of Henrietta. Joyce June Robbins, age 87, of Forest City, died Sunday, March 12th at Community Hospice in Jacksonville, Florida. The funeral service will be held at 11 o'clock tomorrow in the Paget and King Chapel. Burial will follow in the Sulphur Springs Baptist Church Cemetery. The family will receive friends from 10 until 11 prior to the service at Paget and King. The Paget and King mortuary is in charge of the arrangements for Joyce June Robbins. Mrs. Hathleen Holcomb Paris, 98, of Mooresboro, died March 12th. A graveside service will be held at the Rutherford County Memorial Cemetery Tuesday, March 21st at 1 o'clock. Eggers Funeral Home on Cliffside is serving the family of Hathleen Holcomb Paris. Sudie Mae Jenkins Shepard, 90, of Sunshine, died Tuesday, March 14th. The family will have a private celebration of life at a later date, and Washford and Dorsey Funeral and Cremation Service is in charge of those arrangements for Sudie Mae Jenkins Shepard. Tina Walker, age 62, of Forest City, died Sunday, March 12th at Spartanburg Regional Medical Center. A memorial service will be conducted today at 3 o'clock at Harmon Street Baptist Church. The family will receive friends 1 hour prior to service time at the church. Harrelson Funeral and Cremation Services, serving the family of Tina Walker. James Jed Doggett, age 59, of Lake Lure, passed away March 1st. The family will receive friends at 1 o'clock Saturday, May the 6th, at McMahon's Funeral Home in Rutherford. The celebration of life will be held at McMahon's on Saturday, again this May 6th, at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in Rutherford City Cemetery. McMahon's Funeral Home and Cremation Services is in charge of the arrangements for James Jed Doggett. Herb John Ackroyd, age 72, of Rutherford, passed away Tuesday, February the 21st at Mission Hospital. A celebration of life service will be held Sunday, March 19th at McMahon's Funeral Home. And the burial will take place at First United. His remains will be buried at First United Methodist Church Prayer Garden. The family will greet friends after the burial. McMahon's Funeral Home and Cremation Services in charge of the arrangements for Herb Ackroyd. Linda Wall Price, age 80, of Cliffside, passed away Friday, March 10th at her residence. In accordance to her wishes, no formal services will be held, and Harrelson Funeral Home is serving the family of Linda Wall Price. Sue Louis Williams, 95, of Rutherford, passed away Monday, March 13th at Accordius Health. A memorial service will be held at a later date. The family would like to thank the staff of Accordius Health for the excellent care given to Mrs. Williams. Crow's Mortuary is assisting the family of Sue Louis Williams of Rutherford. Those are the death announcements we have in-house this morning. For the complete information of these and others as they become available to us, we'll have those aired this morning at 11:30 and then again at 5:10 as part of the afternoon Call Around the County newscast. It's 18 minutes now past 7.
In the late 1860s and 1870s, a cattle rancher's life was simple. He lived in a small cabin and worked alongside the cowboys. A cowboy respected his boss, and he would give his life for the rancher and his cattle. As they phrased it, they rode for the brand. By the 1880s, things were changing. Ranch owners were now living in large houses, or were often Eastern British or Scottish investors. They had ranch foremen to work with the cowboys. When these foreign owners did come out west, they brought with them customs unfamiliar to the cowboys. The gap between the cowboy and the owner became wider and wider. During the spring of 1833, the cowboys from 3 Texas ranches were rounding up strays together, and one evening while sitting around a campfire, the cowboys were griping about working conditions when they decided to do something about it, to go on strike. Their demands were simple. Among them, a cowboy's income would increase from $30 to $50 a month. A cook would get $50 per month, and the head of an outfit would get $75 per month. Unfortunately for the cowboys, they quickly drank and gambled away their strike fund. and the area was full of drifters looking for a job. So the strike didn't last more than a couple of weeks. Some of the cowboys went back to work, others left the area. This strike ended up being just one more nail in the coffin of the Old West cowboy, as ranchers set up rules to confine even more their traditional activities. You've just heard another story from Old West Radio. I'm Dakota Livesay.
The cure for the common NASCAR show is PRN's Garage Pass. Hi, I'm Mark Garrow. We'll take you where others won't.
Yeah, we led the most laps. We won 4 races, the most I've ever won in a season. So lots and lots of highlights.
Yeah, I mean, we knew the rules going in, so it's not like a complete shocker. You have to win at the end, and we won in the start in the middle of the season.
PRN's Garage Pass. It's 4 minutes that will keep you talking for hours.
All right, let's get started now with our call around the county newscast. Lieutenant Harden is on the phone with me right now from the Sheriff's Department, and we welcome you back to the airways. Good morning.
Good morning, Jim. How are you?
I am doing well. I hope you're doing well.
I can't complain a lick.
It's always good to have you on the radio.
Good to be here.
Tell us what's been going on.
Well, in the last 24 hours, looked like the Sheriff's Office responded to 183 calls. Currently have 173 in the county jail, 136 males and 37 females. Made 13 arrests. On arrest reports, we have Chelsea Davis, 30-year-old white female. Looks like 2 counts of FTA, has a $5,000 secured bond. Ashley Varney, 28-year-old white female, charged possession of drug paraphernalia and felony possession of Schedule 1. Looks like has a $1,000 secured bond. We have Jeremy Clark, 29-year-old white male, charged with possession of methamphetamine, possession of drug paraphernalia, failure to appear, has an $8,000 secured bond. We have Patricia Bradley, 52-year-old white female, charged with failure to appear, has a $500 secured bond. Enrico Brooks, 31-year-old black male, charged with insurance fraud, 2 counts, got a written promise to appear. Ricketta Twitty, 32-year-old black female, charged with felony probation violation, has a $1,500 secured bond. Michael Lovelace, 67-year-old white male, charged with cyber stalking, has a written promise to appear. Ida Guffey, 40-year-old white female, charged with hit and run and driving while license revoked, has a $2,000 secured bond. Jeremy Clark, 20-year-old white male, has looked like felony larceny from a merchant, 3 counts, misdemeanor larceny, 1 count, has a $3,000 secured bond. And Barbara McDonald, 39-year-old white female, charged failure to appear, 1 count, has a $500 unsecured bond. And that's what I got for you this morning, Jim.
Some of these folks you get to know real well. They pass through those gates quite often, don't they?
Yeah, sometimes it's a revolving door, yeah. But it's always good when they can finally get it and be productive members of society, too. It always makes us happy.
That'd be great, absolutely. We always have you on the radio, and come back and see us again real soon, Lieutenant Harden.
Good to talk to you, Jim. Have a good day. It's going to be wet out there.
I know. Be careful out there.
Everybody drive careful.
And we'll check with 911 Communications Center next.
Thinking about the departure of a loved one through death is a subject we don't like to talk about. However, pre-planning or prepaying for a funeral is a consideration and responsible thing to do. With so many options available today, it's important to speak with someone you can trust and someone who can help you find a balance between the emotional, spiritual, and financial needs of your loved ones. Crow's Mortuary and Crematory is recognized as one of the best family-run funeral homes. It's a family tradition, and they know how to care for your family. Any questions you might have, they will be happy to answer. Call Crow's Mortuary and Cremation Services at 286-2304.
Here's Melissa now to give us a report from the Communications Center. Melissa, good morning. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. What's on your report?
In the last 24 hours, the Rutherford County 911 Communications has processed a total of 489 911 and administrative calls. These consisted of 58 for emergency medical services. Under law enforcement, 183 for the sheriff's office, 80 for the town of Forest City, 38 for Rutherfordton, 6 for Lake Lure, and 35 for Spindale. Under fire calls, the Bostic Fire Department responded to a brush fire. They were assisted by the Forestry Service. Cherry Mountain had a motor vehicle accident. Green Hill had a motor vehicle accident. Hudlow had 2 motor vehicle accidents. Lake Lure had a structure fire, and they were assisted by Bills Creek, Fairfield, and Chimney Rock. Rutherfordton had a motor vehicle accident. Sandy Mush had a residential fire alarm, and Union Mills had 2 brush fires, and they were assisted by the Forestry Service.
All right, I appreciate the report. I hope you have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let me brag on Hutchins Pest Control a minute. Don't let the pest bug you when Hutchins Pest Control is as close as a phone call. Honest, dependable, professional, and on-time service may be the reason they keep getting voted best pest control. If you have a pest problem, call this family-run business at 287-5171. Licensed in North and South Carolina and fully insured and bonded. Get a free estimate when you call Hutchins Pest Control and be sure the job is done right. That's Hutchins Pest Control. Call them today at 287-5171 and they'll be right there. Ruby Taylor, good morning. What's on your report today?
Good morning to you. Well, the fire department didn't have anything. And on my birthday, I got Francis Mara, William Buchanan, Alton Thompson having birthday today. And tomorrow, Susan Melton and Brenda Luckydoo tomorrow. And Sunday, Mickey Tatum, Mike Tony, and Nancy Key and Jonathan Bland having birthdays. And Mr. and Miss Tommy Lovelace has anniversary. Now, all these people, I hope they have a nice day, and the signs are in the legs today, tomorrow, and going to the feed on Sunday. Jim, that's all I got.
Thank you, Ruby. You have a good day.
You too, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Farm Bureau Insurance doesn't hire celebrities to push auto coverage. We think people might like to make decisions based on service and savings, not just because that guy from that show says it's a good idea. Instead of faces you know from your TV, we offer faces you know from your neighborhood, because we're headquartered in North Carolina with local agents right in your town. That's really the only thing we want to be famous for. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
In Rutherford County, please call 287-2428.
North Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Insurance of North Carolina, Inc., Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
Here's Chris Melton now from Chimney Rock, Lake Lure, Bills Creek area. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. How are y'all today?
Good. Let me ask you, does the fire chief, does he get to be off on the weekends, or do you have to work all the time?
We work all the time. Now, we may not always have to be at the station on the weekends, but we always come back. And
You always got your ear to the ground, don't you?
That's right.
What's been happening up there?
Well, we're sitting at 57 degrees right now, it says. I was looking for some colder weather when I woke up. But other than that, yesterday we responded. Lake Lure Fire Department had a structure fire in all area departments. Bills Creek, Chimney Rock, and Fairfield responded with us. And turned out to be a mulch fire right near a resident, or right underneath like a porch. So we like those.
Those mulch fires can ignite without you noticing, can't they?
Absolutely. So it was good that we had the help coming. But we was fortunate that that's all it turned out to be.
Yeah. Anything else going on?
That's it.
Yeah. Hope you have good weather, good weekend, and stay healthy and be safe up there.
Same for y'all. Have
Thanks,
a good
Chris.
weekend.
See you now. Bye-bye. That's Chris Melton reporting. It's 29 now past 7.
It's the store folks in Western North Carolina depend on. Farmer's Friend Feed, Seed, and Supply. It's like a superstore. Deer corn, $11.05 for 50 pounds. Cob corn, $10. They have plenty of deer plant supplies. Check on the lower prices on propane, $12.99 for a 20-pound tank. Mulch, gravel, rocks, and supplies for beautiful landscaping. That's available at Farmer's Friend Feed, Seed, and Supply at lower prices. Open Monday through Saturday. If you want a feed and seed store that carries so much more, including new and used farm equipment, then come on over to Farmer's Friend Feed, Seed, and Supply, 188 Whiteside Road, Rutherfordton.
Checking in now with DeVern Upton over in Bostic from the fire district there. Good morning, DeVern.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Glad it's finally Friday, friend.
It's Friday and St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you.
Temperature over here is 51 degrees. Fire department had a brush fire they responded to. We have a couple of birthdays. Pastor Brian Melton is celebrating a birthday. He'll be 50. And Reed and Reagan Jones, they're twins. They're celebrating a birthday. Food boxes today at Washburn's Outreach from 9 to 12:30. And Bostic Lincoln Center will be open from 10 to 1 today. And don't forget to go by Bostic Florist if you need any greenery for St. Patrick's Day. And tonight at 6:30, Friday night fires will start at Faith Baptist Church. Pastor Brian Melton invites everyone out and hope everyone has a wonderful day.
DeVern, you have a wonderful day and a good weekend, and stay dry if you can. I'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
That's Bostic reporting in this morning, and we'll check in next over in Rutherford and Hudlow right after this.
It can be a tough call when it comes time to provide a daycare service for an aging parent or loved one. You can always depend on Rutherford Life Services for a safe facility that offers medical monitoring, nutritional meals, fun activities, and is a loving environment. Rutherford Life is licensed by the State of North Carolina Division of Aging. They will be glad to answer any questions you may have. Call them at 288-1697. Rutherford Life Services offers a trained staff of professionals who you can entrust your loved one to. Rutherford Life Services is located at 230 Fairground Road in Spindale.
Yeah, Robbie Samuel is up next. He's with the Rutherford Fire District, also looking after things for us from Hudlow. Robbie, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Hey, I can't complain. It's another day. We got up.
Yeah.
We got coffee. So.
That's exactly right. We're blessed beyond our expectations, are we?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Well, Jim, with the Ralston Fire Department, we had a medical call through the night, but Hudlow, they stayed quiet. So hopefully they can continue the day, which I think a little bit everybody was busy with motor vehicle crashes yesterday. There's quite a few of those that went out.
Yes.
Especially with the rain today, folks need to be careful and not so much watch out for yourself, but watch out for others. That's the ones that don't seem to pay attention, it seems like. So, but I'd like to also wish Miss Sarah Jo Harrell a happy birthday. I hope she enjoys her day. That's the fire, that's the fire chief's grandmother and our retired Captain Brian Harrell's mother. So hope they can get her a big birthday cake. So hope she has a good day. But Jim, that's all I got to report today for the fire departments, and the community seems to be moving right along. So no fundraisers here. So.
Robbie, I've been wanting to ask you, what constitutes a medical call? The fire departments have a lot of those. What constitutes a medical call that the fire department would go out?
Well, just about anything, Jim. Mostly, I mean, of course, we do cardiac arrest or chest pains, heart attacks, difficulty breathing, anybody that falls and gets hurt.
Yeah.
What it is when you call 911, they're going to ask you a series of questions, and I know a lot of folks, it can be aggravating because it seems like they're asking nonsense questions, but they're asking those questions to make sure they're sending you the right folks.
Yes.
So some medical calls that get called in may not involve the fire department, but EMS is going to have to go every single time. But it just depends on the I'm lost for words this morning. It depends on the emergency as far as before they'll send the fire department.
Right.
You know, if it's somebody that just has depends on how the headache comes out with their little questions.
Right,
but,
right.
So they'll send you about for anything now.
Yeah. So the fire department don't just go out when a call comes. It's got to be directed to you, the fire department, from 911, right?
It does, yes. And a lot of folks that when the fire department show up, they'll say, "What are you doing here? We didn't call the fire department. We called for an ambulance." Well, the fire departments show up they start to care before EMS gets there, and sometimes EMS will beat you. They'll get there before the fire departments, but it's just more or less a quick response to where we can get to you and get treatment started, and especially assess the patient, because sometimes you may not feel like it's a big emergency, but once folks get there and start doing like their vital checks and stuff, they may see signs of a stroke that you don't realize that you're having a stroke.
And you guys are trained in that area too, aren't you? Y'all are trained to look for those things.
We are.
Yeah.
Most of there's only just about 3 fire departments in the county that still does not run medical calls, and the rest do. And it's a good benefit for the community to have that, because most of all of the firemen that's in those departments that run medical are EMT basics. And so, and then like Lake Lure, where Chris Melton works, those folks are intermediates, which is just a step above. And what that means is they can actually start IVs and kind of start getting fluids through you quicker, which is smart for them because they're in the mountains, and a lot of times it takes a little longer to get an ambulance up into those areas. So it's
well, that's good to know. That's good information.
Yeah, it's very beneficial, and I'm sorry sometimes I trip on my words. I'm not a real good speaker at times.
You did fine. You explained it very well. I just felt like folks might want to know.
Yeah, well, and it's like I said, it's a very good thing, because when you don't think nothing's wrong with you, you may have something going on there that somebody else is seeing, and they'll get you care and get you to the right facility you need to go. Because sometimes, like for example, if you're out in the field and you see signs and symptoms of a stroke, probably 95% of the time, depending on the weather, they're going to fly you to a different hospital, like Spartanburg, for example, where they kind of they specialize in strokes, and it could be a burn, anything. So, but yeah, it's very interesting.
Well, we're certainly grateful for you guys that have all that training and can do those kind of things. You've saved many lives. You probably don't know how many lives you probably have saved because you were there. So thank you on behalf of all of us to all of you guys who are in the fire department.
Well, we appreciate it, and we're glad that we can serve our communities and help folks out when we can. So,
Rob, you have a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there, and I'll see you next time.
All right, sounds good. You too, Jim.
See you, bye.
Jim, have you seen Henson Building Materials' newly remodeled showroom? It's gorgeous.
You mean where they have a full line of hardware and building materials for homeowners and home builders?
I mean where Jamie, Terry, and Tony, their friendly staff, treat me like family. Oh, they're so nice.
Hey, are they taking COVID precautions and have curbside service?
Of course. They're so thoughtful.
I do need some materials, but I don't think they'll fit in our car.
Oh, silly. They have professional delivery so we can get whatever I want.
Henson Building Materials, 177 Duke Street in Forest City.
Building starts here.
Sue Price is up next from Cherry Mountain Fire District. How are things over there, Sue?
Good morning, Jim. Everything's going all right, I reckon. It's cloudy looking. I guess we're going to get some rain today.
I believe so.
Well, we've had some different kinds of weather, haven't we?
We have.
Oh, mercy. It's been...
Changes every few hours.
Been summer and winter all together. Well, let's see. I hadn't had one call, the automobile accident for the fire department. Have no birthdays on my church calendar. On my personal calendar, I got a birthday for Evelyn Ray, so happy birthday, Evelyn. And First Broad's got birthdays, a birthday for Teresa Duffy and anniversaries for Bobby and Tammy Smith, so hope they'll have a good day. And Fairview has they've got a birthday, and it's for Belinda Van Dyke, so happy birthday to Belinda. Hope she'll have a good day. We hope anybody that's celebrating a birthday or anniversary will have a real good day on their special day and enjoy it. And in my announcements, Fairview will be having a spring revival that starts the 19th and goes through the 22nd. Sunday night service starts at 6:30. Monday through Wednesday starts at 7 p.m. and everyone is invited. to come out for a good revival. They will have a different speaker each night. And so far, that's the only announcements I have. It's quiet and calm. Looking for a good day. I hope you'll have a good St. Patrick's Day.
You too, Sue.
And you and Faye have a good weekend.
Thanks. See you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Nobody gets a better deal than the customers at Sisk Family Ford. They have a proven record of the best deals. Sisk Family Ford, Rutherford County's only locally owned new car dealer, has recently been recognized as the #1 Ford dealer in customer satisfaction in the Southeast. That speaks well of their commitment to serve their customers well. Rutherford County's only locally owned new car dealership. That's Sisk Family Ford, Oak Street, Forest City.
Your car's best friend can be RS Speedy Lube Service Center. That's because RS Speedy Lube Service Center and Car Wash can keep your car or truck running clean with a regular oil change. They check the fluids and vacuum out the car and have you on your way in no time. Go next door for a radiator or transmission flush. Brakes, exhaust, CV joints, and service for big trucks and campers also available. Pull next door to the RS Speedy Automatic Car Wash and make your car happy with a clean, all under and all over car wash. It's all at RS Service Center and Car Wash on Railroad Avenue in Rutherfordton.
741. Good morning, Tina White.
Good morning, Jim Bishop. Are you wearing green?
No.
Oh,
Are you?
I'm going to have to tell Lou to... I am wearing green, but you better tell... I'm going to tell Lou to pitch you.
Oh, well, you better be careful.
I remember I got pitched a lot in school. They don't let them do it this day and age.
Yeah. Everybody wake up in Shingle Hollow?
Anyway.
Hello? Must be.
Can you hear me?
Just you going in and out, going in and out. Are you traveling around the mountain this morning?
Well, I'm up here at Pinnacle Elementary this morning with my backpacks. So if I sit still right here, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good right there.
Okay, I'll try not to move. It's hard for me to do. When I woke this morning, it was 52 degrees, and I was surprised how warm it is here. Right now, we're having a little bit of drizzle of rain. I apologize to the people, to everybody that's listening. I left my birthday calendar laying on the table. So if you're having a birthday, call it in this morning at what he says, call in for birthdays and anniversaries. For announcements, tonight, White House Community Clubhouse is having the Desert Sun Band start at 7 p.m. and we're raising money for the community center. And Green Hill Fire Department's chief is going to be playing in that band, Chief Tony Sullivan, so go out to hear him. Then tomorrow at Mountain Creek Baptist Church, starting at 4, they're having a barbecue fundraiser. It's $12 for adult plates, $6 for children 6 to 12. Go out and enjoy the barbecue, or you can come over to 29 Baptist Church. 5:30, we are having a wild game supper. There's also going to be turkey, chicken, some team meat, as they say. It was about
I believe we lost her there. I believe she got behind one of those trees there at Pinnacle, and we'll have to move on. She was giving us a report from Shingle Hollow and Green Hill and points beyond. Well, Brenda Kelly has called in to be absent today. She is all clogged up at horse. When she calls, she's I can hardly talk this morning, Tim. Can you excuse me? So I said, sure, Brenda. You sound like you're singing bass. But she's okay. It must be allergies. She's not sick or anything. She just wanted to be up because she didn't want to talk on the radio sounding like she was singing bass or something. But we'll keep our thoughts and prayers for Brenda that she'll overcome that pretty soon. It's 7:44, though, and we're skipping right on over and going to Ellenboro. And Lucy Gilligan is there to give us the news. Good morning.
Good morning, you two. Nice day down here.
Good. Glad you were enjoying
Coffee's
it.
Good. Coffee's good. Biscuits good. It's all good.
Good.
Yeah, but it's quiet down this morning. Not a whole lot happened. But just trying to get this last day of the weekend. Looking forward to the weekend. But it's quiet. Part of it, I'm going to have one medical call yesterday. Other than that, they've been quiet. But we're going to have something going on there Sunday, right after preaching Sunday after the Oak Grove United Methodist Church. Going to be having a chicken pie lunch, so everybody's invited to stop by for that. Just come on down and have a good time there. And then, too, we want to wish James Wilson there. He's having a birthday today. So hope he has a great day and enjoys his day. And you have a great day up there. Enjoy the weekend. Be nice to Faye. We'll talk to you Monday.
I'll do it. See you now. So long.
All right, take care.
And it's time for birthdays and anniversaries here on this 17th day of March, St. Patrick's Day, 17th day of March. Birthdays and anniversaries can be called in to us now at 287-3356, 287-3356. Just a reminder also, Real Estate Insights at 8:05 this morning with Beth Helton. Be sure you stay tuned for that.
Too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing, like too many sprays of cologne, too many loops in a roller coaster, or too many rescue cats. But you can never have too many chances to win. That's why new Multiply the Cash scratch-offs from the North Carolina Education Lottery have more chances to win than ever before. With chances to multiply your win on the front and back, too much is just right. Easy, kitty. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.24 to 4.83. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
To win in sports, you must adjust your strategy as the game changes. The same is true of investments. Why not let Andrew Tisdale help you create a game plan for financial success? Call 828-287-9197 and get started today. That's Andrew Tisdale, 828-287-9197. Well, Granny B would love to invite you to lunch today. They've got a great lunch menu that you can enjoy by yourself or with somebody from your office or home. Maybe take mom or dad or grandma or somebody out to lunch today at Granny B's and make a choice of the kind of sub you'd like for them to fix for you. It's a great place to have lunch. Great place to pick up a bag of donuts, too, and take them to work with you and impress somebody. And it's a fun place, good place, and the food's always delicious. That's Granny B's in Spindale, right up the street a little ways from Lakeside Mills and right beside the Shake Shop.
Happy birthday.
I'd like to wish a happy birthday to David Self. He's 75 today, has a birthday tomorrow, lives on South Mountain Road, but happy birthday, David Self. And Sarah Jo Harrell is 92, lives in Ruth, so happy 92nd birthday, Sarah Jo. Always happy to celebrate your birthday with you. So David Self, Sarah Jo Harrell, happy birthday. Now coming up in just a moment, Keys to Confident Living, and then we'll take you down memory lane for a few classic oldies before the 8 o'clock hour. Stand by.
What you do speaks so loud I can't hear what you say is truth. The following story reminds us that people remember our actions long after they have forgotten what we said. Bill, a wild-haired, torn jeans and t-shirt wearing college student, walked into a well-dressed and fairly conservative church to worship. Finding no seats even at the front, he just sat down on the floor in one of the aisles. From the back of the room, an elderly deacon, cane in hand and dressed in a three-piece suit, slowly made his way toward the new visitor. People braced themselves for the confrontation they saw brewing. Even the preacher stopped preaching. Few blamed the deacon for the large generation gap, the obvious values difference, and what he was about to do. Time seemed to stand still as he made his way to the front. What would the old man say? How would the youth react? However, the anticipated did not happen. Rather than a verbal confrontation, the old man struggled to lower himself to the floor. There he sat for the rest of the service, right in the middle of the aisle, worshiping next to the scraggly dressed youth. The pastor, speechless for a time, slowly grasped the significance of what had happened and said, "What I'm about to preach, you will never remember. What you have
From ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. Following a shaky week for banks, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told the Senate Banking Committee on Thursday,
I can reassure the members of the committee that our banking system is sound and that Americans can feel confident that their deposits will be there when they need them.
That shaky week included the failure of 2 banks and concerns about smaller banks, including First Republic. But late Thursday, some of the nation's largest banks said they would deposit $30 billion into First Republic as a show of confidence. Chinese President Xi Jinping is going to visit Russia next week for the first time since the war began. This comes amid worries that China could supply Russia with weapons for that war. Meanwhile, Poland and now Slovakia have agreed to give Ukraine Soviet-era MiG fighter jets. ABC's James Longman has more from Ukraine.
What does this mean for the United States? Well, the White House has said this doesn't affect their calculus. President Biden has already ruled out giving F-16s, but they do say that it is the sovereign decision of each country. And in that vein, Slovakia has this morning said they want to give 13 of these MiG jets.
President Biden will host the Prime Minister of Ireland today at the White House for St. Patrick's Day. They'll also attend the Friends of Ireland luncheon on Capitol Hill. Severe springtime weather's moved out of Texas, but it's left thousands of power outages, says ABC's Jim Ryan in Dallas.
Thursday's first severe storm warnings were issued west of Fort Worth and were soon followed by reports of massive hail and extreme winds. Several funnels appeared in the sky over North Texas. Wind damage was reported. The cold front that ushered in the storms has transformed the high temperatures in the 80s to start this week to lows around freezing this weekend.
Severe storms are possible in the southeast today. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine will be in East Palestine for an update on cleanup efforts since a train carrying toxic chemicals derailed and spilled last month. You're listening to ABC News.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for health care can save the typical family $500 a month. And that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
Protests at times violent across France over the French president's move to boost the retirement age from 62 to 64 without holding a vote in parliament. ABC's Marcus Moore has the details from Paris.
Thousands of people took to the streets, protesters in the streets of Paris and other cities across the country overnight, setting fires, some of them damaging buildings. And we have seen images of riot police using tear gas to break up those crowds. Police arrested more than 300 people overnight, mostly in Paris.
In the U.S., former Vice President Mike Pence remains steadfast in his refusal to testify about January 6th.
Just this week, former Vice President Mike Pence said squarely that he believes Donald Trump put him and his family in danger and that history will hold Trump accountable for January 6th. But Pence says he does not plan on testifying after receiving a subpoena from special counsel Jack Smith.
The idea of the Justice Department subpoenaing a vice president for testimony about their conduct as president of the Senate and conversations with the president, I believe is unconstitutional.
Pence told that to New Hampshire TV station WMUR. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
For the first time in weeks, Yosemite National Park will reopen to the public tomorrow. The National Park Service says it'll be limited. The park's seen 21 inches of rain, parts of it still buried under 15 feet of snow. This is ABC News.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Brian Clark, ABC News.
Grab the umbrella as you're headed out on this St. Patrick's Day with a few showers possible today. We're not looking at widespread coverage, but it's just enough to be kind of some inconvenient rainfall today. It does start to pick up in intensity, though, overnight tonight, and especially even if you have evening plans tonight. Then tomorrow, we're looking a whole lot drier aside from a few morning showers, but the bulk of the day should be dry. We'll see highs today in the mid to upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Anthony Baglione in the Weather Center.
Light mist rain falling here in the foothills as we're expecting more rain throughout today and maybe tonight. We're clearing out of here for tomorrow. Looks like maybe by this afternoon we have about an 80% chance of precip and 80% chance of rain tonight. It's going to be stay up pretty mild today, 60, near 60 for the daytime high tonight. Not freezing, but just about 39 for the overnight low. Saturday, partly cloudy with highs near 56, and that wind gust is still going to be high, 24 miles per hour on Saturday with that wind, but clearing off for Saturday night with lows around 28, wind chill value as low as 21 with a high chill factor. So there you go. That's the weekend for today, 8 to 9 tomorrow, and Sunday looks pretty good too, mostly sunny with a high near 51, so it's going to feel like springtime again. It's Friday morning, and Friday morning is always special because Beth Helton joins me in the Blue Room.
Yes.
Good morning, Beth.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. Glad to see you again.
Well, good to see you. Yes,
missed you
indeed.
last week.
I know, I missed you.
Well, we're back to the old hip wheels again.
Oh, yes, we are.
Real estate insights. What you got on your mind today?
Well, we just went through this revaluation thing. Mm-hmm. And it brought back to mind, I think it was probably about 2008, 2009, something like that, when Mecklenburg County had done their revaluation. And everything, property values just shot through the roof, and everybody was up in arms, and they had to redo it. Apparently everybody's up in arms now.
Yes.
Anytime you have a property value and it shoots up, $20, $30, $50,000, in some cases, a few $100,000, that's a problem, because what's going to happen is you've got, you're used to having your payment every month in your mortgage. It stays the same. If you're escrowing in your taxes and your insurance, that can increase. Well, the minute your taxes increase, the value on your house increases, therefore the amount of taxes you're going to pay is going to increase. Some people are going to be in really dire straits, because you can't just say, oh, well, now you're going to have to pay another, $1,200 a year in taxes. Well, that's $100 more a month added to their current mortgage that they are already having a hard time paying. So if you can't pay your mortgage over, a certain period of time, at some point, they're going to take your house. So what we've really got to do is, I would encourage everybody to, if you don't think if you think it's way, way, way overly done, then you need to appeal it. There is an appeals process you need to go through. My whole thing has always been with anything, if you don't vote, then don't complain about who gets into office. If you're not going to talk to the people that can make change, then don't complain about the change you want. And so I think that people are going to have to start doing some serious revaluation of, their finances. Can I still afford to do this house? Do I need to downsize? Now, I understand their process. I watched some little video about, this is how we reassess your property. And they're basing it on market values. Well, I don't want your tax value based on what houses are selling for. Especially over the last 2 years, that's not been a true market. That's been a crazy market. COVID hit, prices went through the roof. Sellers pulled their house off the market, buyers were still looking, so we were like immediately in a seller's market. That really pushed things way too high. Everything was selling for more than it should. Everything was overpriced. It's just ridiculous. Things are still too high. Things are starting to slow down now, but come in a year or two, when we're in a buyer's market, and they reevaluate, because Rutherford County reevaluates every 4 years. You have to reevaluate every 8, but you can reevaluate every year if you want to. And so in another 4 years, are they going to come back and look at the market and say, oh, it really went down? Are they going to lower my property value then? Well, when you get used to having money coming in, you kind of don't want to let that go. So I pulled my property up. I don't remember what Donald said ours had gone up, but I think it's been like $40,000, $35,000 or $40,000, if I'm remembering right. That makes me want to just throw up. But I noticed in 2020 they added an RA fee, a Rutherford County RA fee. I don't know what that is, but it's $8, and they started that in 2020. Well, my tax value was the same from 15 to 18, and then it went up. Let's see, that's $16,000, and it's been $16,000 for the last 4 years. And now you're asking me to accept a, $40,000 increase? No, just no, because I can go, what is that, $15 more a month, or $15 more a year, is what it went up just for my house tax. That's doable. But now if you're going to add all this stuff up and make me pay, my house is worth this much, and I think our tax rate was 0.597 just in Rutherford County. And this is not counting if you're in the city limits of Forest City or the town of Spindale, or you've got those city taxes on top of the county taxes. So people are going to have to, I think April 10th is when they're taking informal complaints or informal appeals till April the 10th. So you need to get your ducks in a row and do what you're going to do. But you need to really start tightening your belt, because even though you appeal it, it doesn't mean they're going to back off and come down. I would think an average, I would expect mine to go up maybe $10,000 or $15,000, maybe 20. But I would not expect mine to go up $40,000. That's ridiculous. And I was hearing somebody the other day, they live in a high-priced house already, and their value was like $500,000 more, something like that. It was ridiculous. And I'm thinking, okay, typically your tax value means nothing when you go to sell your house. Nothing. Because that's just based on what the county thinks your house is worth for tax purposes. If they're going to start taxing you on what you sell your house at, then your taxes obviously are going to go up. But now we would have to say, well, what is your tax value? You might can get that, or you might not. When we had that big, the balloon burst back in 2008 or 9, you couldn't sell your property for tax value. It was ridiculous. You couldn't give it away half the time. And then as the market improved and got healthier, then it's like, okay, things are selling for probably about $30,000 or $40,000 above tax value. Now it's kind of like, who knows what's going to happen, And so people are going to have to really tighten their belts. You're going to have to get into a want versus need mentality. Don't freak out, but just breathe and go through the process of appealing or whatever you need to do. If you're thinking about buying, you still need to buy. Interest rates, they go up, they go down, but it's still, if you find the house you want, don't worry about the tax value right now. That can change. It can go up or down, more likely up. But call your lender and say, I found my house. This is what it is. What will my payment be? If you can live with the payment, you can always refinance and get the lower interest rate when it goes down. I can't do anything about the tax value. Only people that own the houses can do their appeals. So if you still want to buy, it's still a good time to buy. If you still want to sell, it's still a good time to sell. But we all have to, everything is going up. And this is what's so frustrating. Eggs are up, gas is up, everything is up. And now your tax value's up. Higher, much higher than anybody expected or needs it to be.
Let me tag on to you what you're saying in that same respect. A lot of concerned citizens are pulling together a public meeting next Thursday night to talk about this. And they've invited the chairman of the commissioners, and I think they've also invited the county manager not as a browbeaten, beat you up kind of thing, because it's not their fault
Right.
that it went up, but they want to air their thoughts about that and have the commissioners and the county manager see what they can do about. I don't know what they can do, but folks go like 40%. People irate over that.
Yeah.
Tentatively, right now, it's going to be held at the Rutherford Clubhouse.
Good.
And so it's not a political gathering, although it's sort of being kicked off by some of the Republicans because they're bothered by it as well. So keep it, and folks, and pass the word. As I get clarification on exactly the time and if indeed it's going to happen, make your place. But right now, pencil in Thursday night at the Rutherford Clubhouse for a public hearing, not ready to hear, but public discussion on the revaluation.
Yeah, and that's needed. And I think the attitude you got to go in there with is seek to understand, then to be understood.
Right.
So the people that are going to be there need to understand, how did you come up with these numbers? This is ludicrous. But you need to understand from my perspective, because I mean, they're taxpayers too.
Right.
So yeah, understand how they came up with it. You understand why I'm frustrated, and how can we come to a solution that's going to make everybody happy?
Yeah. And the commissioners have assured me that when they do the budget, they're not going to have a tax increase this year. But what happens if the commissioners change within 2 years or 3 years?
Yes.
What's going to happen when they got to relook at that again? So we're looking down the road a ways, not just this year.
Exactly.
Because that revaluation is in effect for 4 years, I believe.
Yeah, and you've got to always be thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Because you can live in the here and now, but that's not the safest place to be. You got to plan for your future. You got to think about, what am I going to do if, what am I going to do when, and have a plan of action. Nobody likes to get blindsided.
Right, exactly right.
I mean, it's just...
People have more questions about real estate. How can they get in touch with you?
They can give me a call at 704-853-9060. You can also send me a text to that number. You can email me at beth.helton@gmail.com. Or you can stop by the office at Robert Green Real Estate. It's up there on the hill, right behind the Lime Green Theater.
If I may hitchhike on your time, we get one more thing. For the benefit of folks who have been trying to email me, any message, whatever, since Monday, my email has been frozen in line. I'm not receiving anything from anybody since Monday. And I've been on the phone with Vive for 2-3 days now, trying to get that unblocked. I don't know why it's blocked, but I can send out, but I can't receive. And if somebody's sending me something, they think I'm ignoring it because they don't know my email is frozen out there in space somewhere.
Jim's not ignoring you.
I'm not
he doesn't
ignoring
do that.
As a matter of fact, I got important things I need to be dealing with online. But anyway.
Well, it's really frustrating when you send out an email and you don't get a response back.
Right, exactly. And that's what's happening when people emailing me, they're not getting a
Yes,
response back.
yes.
But anyway, I meant to say that earlier to my audience, so I want to let folks know I'm not ignoring you. It's just, I'm not getting your emails. Beth, we look forward to seeing you again next Friday.
I'll be here with bells on.
I'll always love your attitude.
Thank you very much.
Have a good week.
You too.
I'll be back in just a moment with the Sheriff's Report.
Turn up your tax refund with a fun new device from Bark Mobile. And there's no funner price than free. Right now, get a free Samsung Galaxy A13 5G when you switch. Turn up even more fun with unlimited data for streaming movies and music and surfing. Get a single line for just $45 per month with AutoPay. It's your tax refund. Turn it up and get more fun for your money with Bark. Certain restrictions apply. See store for details or visit mybarkmobile.com/terms and conditions. Offer expires April 16, 2023.
Mission Health Center Rutherford is now open in Forest City, a multi-specialty clinic with care for the whole family. From routine preventative care to the treatment of chronic conditions, our providers offer a personalized approach to meet your specific needs. Now accepting new patients. Call 828-659-5741 to make an appointment today. Mission Health Center Rutherford. Quality care close to home.
Hungry? Lunchtime, dinner time, anytime is a good time to stop in at Gregory's Original Restaurant. Choose from fresh, delicious burgers, fries, sandwiches, pasta dishes, fresh salads, grinders, and so much more. All orders are prepared fresh and to perfection. Open Monday through Friday, 11 till 9, Saturdays, noon till 9, closed on Sundays. Call in or carry out. 828-287-2171. Located in the Park Lane Plaza in Rutherfordton, and DoorDash delivery is available. Fast and friendly service. That's Gregory's Original Restaurant.
This is Dwayne Hunt with Insurance Service Associates, wanting to let you know that we have moved. Our new office is located at 245 East Main Street in Forest City. Come see us for auto, home, or your commercial insurance needs. Also come see me, Dwayne Hunt, for your Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, or prescription drug plans. See us at Insurance Service Associates, now located at 245 East Main Street in Forest City, or call 828-245-5301.
There are plenty of drugstores in Rutherford County, but not all of them offer the same personal customer service that is offered at the Medicine Box of Rutherfordton. Laura Hodge and her team have trusted experience and professional service. You're not just a number to them, you're a friend. Make the Medicine Box of Rutherfordton your hometown drugstore at 200 Charlotte Road in Rutherfordton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 1, 287-7117.
Well, North Carolina GOP is hoping second time is the charm with the new anti-CRT bill, sending that out and stopping that from happening in schools. Gastonia, they hope to get that passed, and the governor, last time it passed, but the governor vetoed it, where they're trying to stop that. But we'll see if that's going to indeed happen. Having the media completely in your corner and yet putting politics aside, it's going to be difficult to get that done. Meanwhile, Gastonia police raided an illegal speakeasy on Saturday, seizing Jell-O shots, liquor, wine, beer, and card reader in the process in the speakeasy in Gastonia. In a police report, an undercover officer entered a business at 1159 West Franklin Boulevard. That officer confirmed the illegal operation and illegal alcohol sales. The report also mentioned used of body-worn camera footage during the investigation. Authorities got a search warrant, seized several items, and arrested a person for ABC violations. Police said they seized 19 individual packed Jell-O shots valued at $95. They also got 21 bottles of wine, 10 spirituous liquor bottles, 82 beers, an Apple iPhone, $300 laptop, and $200 Square card reader. Gastonia police charged Marquet Gansona McNair with 3 misdemeanors and selling alcohol beverage without a permit, mixed beverage, fortified wine, so forth, so on. She left the jail on a $2,500 bond, so they call it illegal speakeasy. Didn't know they had those kind of things in here, but I guess they do. 22 past the hour, and Lieutenant Harden was with us earlier this morning from the Sheriff's Department to give us a report, and we recorded it for broadcast at this time.
Well, in the last 24 hours, looked like the Sheriff's Office has responded to 183 calls. Currently have 173 in the county jail, 136 males and 37 females. Made 13 arrests. On arrest reports, we have Chelsea Davis, 30-year-old white female. Looks like 2 counts of FTA, has a $5,000 secured bond. Ashley Varney, 28-year-old white female, charged possession of drug paraphernalia and felony possession of Schedule 1. Looks like has a $1,000 secured bond. We have Jeremy Clark, 29-year-old white male, charged with possession of methamphetamine, possession of drug paraphernalia, failure to appear, has an $8,000 secured bond. We have Patricia Bradley, 52-year-old white female, charged with failure to appear, has a $500 secured bond. Andrico Brooks, 31-year-old black male, charged with insurance fraud, 2 counts, got a written promise to appear. Ricketta Twitty, 32-year-old black female, charged with felony probation violation, has a $1,500 secured bond. Michael Lovelace, 67-year-old white male, charged with cyber stalking, has a written promise to appear. Ida Guffey, 40-year-old white female, charged with hit and run and driving while license revoked, has a $2,000 secured bond. Jeremy Clark, 20-year-old white male, has looked like felony larceny from a merchant, 3 counts, misdemeanor larceny, 1 count, has a $3,000 secured bond. And Barbara McDonald, 39-year-old white female, charged with failure to appear, 1 count, has a $500 unsecured bond. And that's what I got for you this morning, Jim.
Thank you, Lieutenant Harden, for that report. Thanks for being with us on the report, and we'll have this report. If you missed part of it, it'll be on again this afternoon around 5 o'clock or so, right after the obituaries. Now, be sure to have a great weekend. Be safe out there. You better watch the rain slicks in the road, and I'll see you back here bright and early on Monday morning. So long, everybody.
NCN Sports, I'm Nate Saunders. They call it March Madness for a reason.
He threw it away. Wing, Pegues. Furman has won. Did we just see what we think we just saw?
The call on True TV as 13th seeded Furman in the NCAA tournament for the first time in 43 years got a steal and a three-pointer in the final seconds to stun number 4 Virginia on Thursday. The other big bracket buster was 15 seeded Princeton, shocking number 2 Arizona. Arizona coach Tommy Lloyd says he expected a longer run for the Wildcats.
This is going to be a small setback, because not for me. I'm just sad for these guys that they don't get to experience how special an NCAA run is, because these guys were built to do that. And, they made enough plays down the stretch and we didn't. And I'll tip my hat to them.
Number 5 Duke had no issues with number 12 Oral Roberts in the first round, winning 74-51. Duke coach John Shire says he won't discount Thursday's victory.
One, I thought it was a great win for us. Oral Roberts, they haven't lost in a long time, man. They're going in. I mean, these guys probably got sick of us watching so much film. They're so explosive. And I thought our defense really set the tone for us today.
The Blue Devils will face number 4 Tennessee on Saturday. Number 15 UNC Asheville had its season end with an 86-53 loss to number 2 UCLA. Number 11 NC State will take on number 6 Creighton today at 4 p.m. In the women's tournament, Gardner-Webb will face Utah tonight at 7:30, while NC State plays the late game at 10 p.m. against Princeton. North Carolina faces St. John's tomorrow afternoon, and Duke and East Carolina's first-round games will be Saturday night. And the Carolina Hurricanes will return to the ice tonight. They're on the road in Toronto to face the Maple Leafs at 7 p.m. The Canes hold a 1-point lead over the New Jersey Devils. I'm Nate Saunders. You're listening to NCN Sports.
Family-owned and Carolina-based Coastal Agribusiness is in its 70th year of serving agricultural communities. John Whitehead is Coastal's Director of Sales for Crop Protection.
Mike, if there was ever an industry that needs proper stewardship, it would be the crop protection industry. Farming is complicated. There's an awful lot of professional advice that's called for. Our solutions advisors are just that. People that can give sound advice to deal with the specific pest for the specific crop at the specific time that the grower is facing it. Logistics is a big part of farming, getting products in the right place at the right time. And with our hub and spoke system, we have this pretty significant warehouse that we're able to stage product here. It's in the epicenter of our footprint. We're right in the middle, so we can get product up and down I-95 pretty quickly.
See more at coastalagro.com. Coastal Agribusiness, solutions for a productive future.
Authorities say Cincinnati Bengals running back Joe Mixon was armed with a legal weapon but did not fire the gun or do anything illegal when a teenage boy was shot near the player's home in Cincinnati earlier this month. They released the information on Thursday while announcing that Mixon's sister and her boyfriend have been indicted in the March 6th shooting. Authorities say Shalonda Mixon was apprehended Thursday afternoon while Lamonte Brewer remains at large. It's not known if either one has retained an attorney. Hamilton County Prosecutor Melissa Powers says the shooting happened as several juveniles were playing at dart wars, where teams shoot at each other with foam dart guns. Authorities say Brewer fired several shots. And Patrick Vieira has been fired by Crystal Palace, with the team having been dragged into the Premier League's relegation fight. Palace is in 12th place in the 20-team league, but is only 5 points ahead of last place. You're listening to NCN Sports.
Grab the umbrella as you're headed out on this St. Patrick's Day, with a few showers possible today. We're not looking at widespread coverage, but it's just enough to be kind of some inconvenient rainfall today. It does start to pick up in intensity, though, overnight tonight, and especially even if you have evening plans tonight. Then tomorrow, we're looking a whole lot drier, aside from a few morning showers, but the bulk of the day should be dry. We'll see highs today in the mid to upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Anthony Baglione in the Weather Center.
It's beginning to drizzle a little bit, spit some rain out. It'll be raining pretty heavy here after a while, and rain probably most of the afternoon and tonight. And our temperature reading right now is 52 degrees, getting up to near 60 for a daytime high, and wind gusts today as high as 27 miles per hour. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy with showers and lows around 39 with wind gusts as high as 22 miles per hour. March winds continue to blow here in the foothills. It's 8:30 and time now for the Word of Faith Fellowship radio program. And with the program this morning is Josh and Gabriella Valentine.
Good morning, Rutherford County. This is Josh Valentine. I'm here with my wife, Gabrielle, and we're here to share with you what God has been speaking to us and what God is doing in our lives. And the message that we're wanting to share with you today is really a message of faith in God, because every day we're seeing how dark this world is and how troubled this world is becoming. And what is your faith in? Is your faith in things in this natural realm? Is your faith in your abilities? Or is your faith and your trust and your belief, is it in God? And we're going to go through some examples in the Bible where men of God had their faith in God, and regardless of what happened in their life, God was constant. God was always there, and they did not turn their back on God. And I'm going to start with a verse in Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 23. It says, "Thus says the Lord, let not the one who's wise and skillful boast in his insight. Let not the one who is mighty and powerful boast in his strength. Let not the one who's rich boast in his temporal satisfactions and earthly abundance." And so as we're going through this today, think about, are we prideful and are we boastful that we're intelligent? Are we prideful or are we boastful that we have good physical stamina, that we're in shape? Are we boastful that we have financial prosperity, that we aren't lacking? Is that where our faith is? But in Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 24 says, "Let the one who boasts not boast in those things, but let him boast in this, that he understands and he knows me and acknowledges me and honors me as God, that he recognizes without any doubt I am the Lord who practices loving kindness, justice, and righteousness, for in these things I delight, says the Lord." And so, where God has been showing me is my trust, is my identity in my work, in my ability as an attorney? Is my trust in how I can play sports, or what kind of material possessions I have? Do you put your trust in your family or in your children? Do you put your trust in your business or earthly things, or is your trust in God? And Gabrielle is going to share with you our first example, which is Abraham and what he went through in his life.
And that's right, Josh. There's several examples in the Bible where God tested his people to see what their trust was really in. And the first example is Abraham. And we all know the story of Abraham, but God promised Abraham a son, Isaac. And he promised that his seed would inherit the land, and that out of Abraham would come a prosperous nation. And Abraham was 75 years old when God made him this promise to give him a son, and he was 100 before Isaac was born. If you think that was 25 years of waiting for God's promises and believing. Yeah. And God tested Abraham in regards to Isaac. And in Genesis 22, it says, verse 2, God told Isaac, "Take your son, your only son whom you love, Isaac." And remember, this is the son he waited for 25 years that God had promised him. "And go to the region of Moriah and sacrifice him there as a burnt offering." And Abraham arose early the next morning. He didn't question God. He didn't waver or doubt in his mind. And he got up, he loaded the donkey, and he took 2 of his servants and Isaac. And he set out for where God had told him to go. He was obeying God at every step. And on the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in a distance. And he said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey, while I and the boy go over there. We will worship and then come back to you. And once again, I mean, if you listen, he said, we will come back to you. He knew what God had promised him,
That's right.
but he was going to obey God at every point. And Abraham and Isaac went up to the place, and then it goes on to say Isaac spoke to him and said, Father, and he said, yes, my son. And Isaac said, the wood and fire are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham answered, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And they went on. And Abraham built the altar. He arranged the wood. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. And he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him, do not lay a hand on the boy. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son. And once again, I mean, that was Abraham's promise, was Isaac. And that is what God's promise relied on, was Isaac, because God said, out of Isaac will come a great nation. But you notice, Abraham didn't hesitate in 1 minute in his mind that God would take care of him, that God would take care of Isaac, and he feared God. He feared God to obey him. And Abraham looked up, and there in the thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it. And Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide. And that's where, I check my heart many times by the story of Abraham and Isaac. Is there anything in my heart that I treasure, that I put my trust in, even if it's something that God has promised that I know God gave to me? Do I treasure that more than obeying the voice of God? And if I do, then I don't fear God, and God can't take care of me.
That's very good. And, another example that we see in the Bible is the story of Job. And anyone who's read the Bible knows about it, but we're going to walk through how Job was tested and tried by the devil, but God allowed it to happen. And in the book of Job, it talks about there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. He was blameless and upright, and he feared God with reverence. He abstained from and turned away from evil because he honored God. And he had 7 sons, 3 daughters. He possessed 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 oxen, donkeys, a great number of servants. And the Bible says he was the greatest and wealthiest and most respected of all the men of the East, which was northern Arabia at that time. So here's a man who had everything that you would want in this world. And it says he honored God. He worshiped God. He served God. But there was a day when the angels came before the Lord, and Satan came as well. And the Lord said to Satan, from where have you come? And Satan said, I've been roaming around on the earth and walking on it. And the Lord said, well, have you considered and reflected on my servant Job? There is none like him on the earth, with a blameless and upright heart. He fears me, he abstains from evil. And then Satan answers the Lord, well, does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge of protection around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands with prosperity. His possessions have increased in the land. So God had protected Job. God had blessed him, had prospered him. He had everything going for him that you could have on this earth. But yet, God allows Satan to test him. And Satan told God, put forth your hand now, touch, destroy all he has. He will curse you to your face. And the Lord said, behold, all that Job has is in your power. Only do not put your hand on the man himself. So Satan departed, and he went after Job. We know that all of his animals, all of his livestock was either stolen, his servants were killed, his children, they were celebrating a birthday, the house caves in, they all die. And then the next chapter, Satan comes back and gets permission to attack Job's body. And he attacks his flesh, where his flesh was falling off of his body. And so everything in the natural that somebody would have put trust in or had faith in or had a life of ease, it was gone in an instant. And it says that then after this happened, Job got up, he tore his robe, he shaved his head in mourning for his children, and he fell to the ground and he worshiped God. He didn't curse God like Satan said he did. Even when his wife said, Job, curse God and die, Job worshiped God. He said, naked without possessions, I came into this world from my mother's womb. Naked will I return. The Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Through all of this, verse 22, Job did not sin, nor did he blame God for anything he went through. And I want you to just listen to, Gabrielle's going to share what happened afterwards. But Job went through trials and tribulations. We don't know how long this lasted, but if you read, it was 40 chapters of where Job and his friends had dialogue, and they went back and forth, and they debated, and they shared. And I don't know if it was all speaking by God's Spirit, but at the end, you're going to hear how God got to Job's heart.
That's right. At the end of Job 42, it says, Job was saying to God, hear please, and I will speak. I will ask you, and you instruct and answer me. I had heard of you only by the hearing of the ear, but now my spiritual eye sees you. And, there again, God got to Job's heart through what he went through. He lost everything in the natural, but he didn't lose his walk with Jesus, and it grew. And he came to know Jesus, and he said, my spiritual eye sees you. And then God turned and restored the fortunes of Job. In 42 verse 10, it said, the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he prayed for his friends. And the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then all his brothers and sisters and all who had known him before came to him. They ate bread with him in his house. They consoled him and comforted him over all the distressing adversities that the Lord had brought on him. And each one gave him a piece of money and a ring of gold. And it goes on to say that the Lord blessed the days of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, 1,000 female donkeys. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. His previous children had been restored. And once again, you can just see through the book of Job where, God tested him. God allowed Satan to test him. And how many times, like we're giving these examples in the Bible, when God does bless his people, the devil is going to be after us to test us, to destroy us. And God allowed it. God allowed it to prove Job's heart. And we want our heart to be firm and unshaken. It doesn't matter what we have, what we lose, what we go through, that our hope, our anchor is in Jesus, and then we come to know Jesus through it. And that's what happened with Job. When he came to know Jesus, or came to know God at a greater level, God turned it into good for him.
And that's really what I want to get across today is we're going to go through trials and tribulations, and I think we may read that verse later, but what we go through, it's either going to bring us closer to Jesus, or we're going to allow it to turn our hearts away from God and become bitter and become estranged from the Lord. And we don't want that to happen. I want to share now about the Son of God, Jesus. When he came to the earth as a man, he lived as a simple man of flesh, of humility, and as you read about his life, he had no interest, no desire to be a part of this world or to have the things of this world. And the only thing that he was interested in was doing God's will. And he knew that God sent him to this earth to save man from sin and to go to that cross to break the power of sin. And that from the time he was born, when he was a child, he was in the synagogue, and his parents are looking for him, and he's like, I'm going to be about my Father's business at 12 years of age. And you hear about when he was 30 and started his ministry, day and night, he was preaching, teaching, healing, doing his Father's work. And Gabrielle, I know you're going to share with us out of Matthew 6.
That's right. In Matthew 6, this is what Jesus said in verse 19, do not store up for yourselves material treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Whatever we have here on this earth, it can be gone in a split second, in the blink of an eye. But what the devil can't take from us is our heart and our walk with Jesus and making it to heaven. And verse 21, for where your treasure is, there your heart, your wishes, your desire, that which your life centers will be also. And I mean, that's where I constantly check my heart. What does my life center around? Does my life center around all those examples that Josh gave at the beginning, whether it's your professional career, whether it's your money, your possessions, whether it's a relationship, whether it's your family? Is that the focus of your life? Is that your treasure? Like that first verse, is that what you boast on? Or is your treasure, is your life revolve around serving God? Because that's what cannot be taken. And, you know, you see through all these examples, and I hope we can get this across like God's showing to us. If you take what God gives you, and God could give you that relationship, that job, that career, like He's done in our lives, if that is an idol to you, if you hold on to that, if that is what your life is based on, when you are tested, when that gets taken, you won't stand. You won't make it to heaven. You will fall apart. But if your life is based on Jesus, and your life is centered on Jesus and making it to heaven and taking those around you to heaven, when you are tested like Job or like Abraham, you're going to pass the test and you're going to make it to heaven, because all those other things are just tools to serve God. That's not what your life is based on. And that's what, I mean, we want to make sure that when God gives us blessings, when God takes care of us, we are grateful, we're thankful, but our goal in life is making it to heaven and serving Jesus.
That's right. And in Luke 14, verse 16, Jesus said, if anyone comes to me, but does not hate his own father, his own mother, his wife, his children, his brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, in the sense of indifference to or relative disregard for them, in comparison with his attitude toward God, he cannot be my disciple. And I've talked to a lot of people, they have a very hard time with this verse, because Jesus is saying here, if you don't hate your wife or your children or your parents compared to your love for me, God, then you can't be my disciple. And so think about that in your life. Is your spouse more important than your relationship with God? Would you allow your child to keep you from serving God? Would you allow your sibling or your best friend to keep you from doing God's will? If you would, then you'll never be a disciple of Jesus. And going back into Matthew chapter 6, Jesus went on to say in verse 24, no one can serve two masters. He'll either hate the one, love the other. He'll be devoted to one and despise the other. You can't serve God and mammon, money, possessions, fame, status, whatever is valued more than the Lord. And, you know, I have a good friend, Frank, that preached about this. You can't hold on to your life. You can't hold on to the things that you want and then try to hold on and get a hold of God and serve God. Because you've got to let go of what you want. You've got to let go of your plans and all of what's important to you. And you've got to grab a hold of God.
And Josh, really, when you do that, God takes care of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what verse 25 says. It says, stop being worried or anxious about your life, what you'll eat, what you'll drink, about your body, right, what you'll wear. Is not life more than food? And I mean, what Jesus was referring to is serving me not more than food, and the body more than clothing. Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather the crops into barns, and yet your heavenly Father keeps feeding them. When we serve God, when that's our goal, God will feed us. He'll take care of us. And who of you by worrying can add 1 hour to the length of your life? And why do you worry about clothes? See how the lilies and wildflowers of the field grow. They do not labor nor do they spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory and splendor dressed himself like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is cut down, and as fuel into the furnace, will he not much more clothe you? And I mean, that shows right there, the earthly things, it's like the grass of the field. It'll be cut down and cast into the furnace tomorrow. But God can take care of us. And it says, don't worry or be anxious, saying, what are we going to eat or drink? What are we going to wear? For the pagan, the Gentiles, he eagerly seek all these things. But do not worry, for your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. And that's the contrast between the pagan, the Gentiles, and the heathen, and what God wants us to be like and what his people were like in the Bible. Abraham, Job, Jesus, whose goal, whose aim in life was seeking the things above. But it goes on and says, first and most importantly, strive after his kingdom, his righteousness, his way of doing and being right. And once again, that's what we're aiming for every day. The attitude and character of God, and all these things will be given to you. And once again, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has trouble of its own. So we're not going to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen in our lives, where the devil may come after us to test us, but we're going to take each day serving Jesus, and God will take care of the rest.
That's exactly right. And how do we do that? And in Hebrews, it says that in the days of his earthly life, Jesus offered up both specific petitions and urgent supplications for that which he not only wanted, but needed, with fervent crying and tears to the one who was always able to save him from death. And it wasn't referring to natural death, because we know Jesus died a natural death, but it's talking about spiritual death, which is sin. Jesus cried out day and night not to be separated from God. He didn't want to do anything that would separate him from his relationship with God and result in sin. And it says that Jesus was heard because of his reverent submission towards God, his sinlessness, and his unfailing determination to do the Father's will. So in your life, think about that today. Do you have a determination to do God's will? How are you going to even know what God's will is for you? You've got to cry out like Jesus did with urgent supplications. Not only what you need, what you want, but what you need. And in Mark 8, it goes on and says, whoever wants to save his higher spiritual life, you're going to have to lose the lower natural temporal life lived only on earth. Whoever gives up his life, which is lived only on earth, for my sake and the gospel's sake, will save his higher life, the spiritual, eternal life in the kingdom of God. So you've got to give up everything. You can't hold on to one thing if you're going to serve God. For what will it profit to gain the whole world but forfeit your life? Eternity is a long time. And when you think about what are the things in this life that you want, okay, you may want to go to watch a ball game or TV or whatever the temptation may be, drugs or alcohol for some people. And you think about that temporal satisfaction you get, and it's fleeting because then you're tormented, and compare that to eternity, like forever and ever and ever. It never ends. You'll be burning in hell. Is it worth it? Absolutely not. But it says in 38, whoever is ashamed of me and my words in this sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of you when he comes back in his glory with the holy angels. We don't want God to be ashamed of us. We don't want our trust to be in the things of this earth.
And in Matthew 19, that is the passage about the rich young man that came to Jesus and said, what must I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus went through the commandments with him, and he said, I've kept all these things from my youth. And Jesus said to him, there's one thing you lack. And in verse 21, it says, if you want to be perfect, go sell your possessions and give them to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. And that the rich man's treasure was not in God, was not in serving God. He didn't want to follow Jesus because he was holding on to his material possessions and what he had in life. And he didn't pass the test. And he went away sad and distressed because the scripture said he had many possessions. And in verse 29 of Matthew 19, it says, and anyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters or father or mother or children or lands for my sake will receive many, even 100 times more, and will inherit eternal life. And I mean, once again, that is the example of what happened with Job. I mean, God tested him, and when he passed the test, God blessed him in the end. And we don't want to hold on to anything that will keep us from turning and following Jesus that we can't give up to make it to heaven, like the rich young man.
And Gabrielle and I are going to sing a song, There is Strength in the Name of the Lord. And we listen to the words because it talks about we're going to face trials, but through it all, if we keep our faith in God, he will be there and he will give us strength.
There is strength in the name of the Lord. There is power in the name of the Lord. There is hope in the name of the Lord. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And when your plans have fallen through, and when your strength is nearly gone, when there's nothing left to do but just depend on you and the power of your name. And as we call upon your name, your strength through weakness to show, we can know the Master's plan, extend the Master's hand when we come in the name of the Lord. There is strength in the name of the Lord. There is power in the name of the Lord. There is hope in the name of the Lord. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Sometimes we face trials that seem hard to bear. Sometimes we don't know which way to go. When we don't know what to do, we turn our eyes to you, and we seek your face. And as we humble ourselves before you, you lead us down the right path. You reveal to us your will, your plan and purpose for our lives. You give us strength to endure to the end. There is strength in the name of the Lord. There is power in the name of the Lord. There is hope in the name of the Lord. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. It's been an honor to share the word that God has been speaking to us. We are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8:30 to 9. So please